Alrighty then, it's time for Team Battles in Zhao. It is a ranked game and it's on Ryrk. And if y'all remember, Ryrk is a Diamond account, or at least last season. So this is technically Diamond MMR, and I called it Placement Heaven because with Diamond MMR, I'm sure it's not gonna get hellish games like Mary Cone. Nonetheless, I picked Xin Zhao with a purpose in this one. I saw the enemy team had Katarina, Yasuo, Lee Sin, and Corky and Volibear. And I thought to myself, you know what would make sense? Maokai. Do I own Maokai? Not at all. So I decided to go with somebody that can deal some damage, perhaps interrupt other champions with his ultimate, of course, and gank early because that's what I figure I'm going to need. And of course, that's the whole ganking early. That's what I did at the very beginning. I took red to get level 2 and immediately went to gank Yasuo. I unfortunately got caught and sort of panicked Eid because he was about to lose my line of sight. And yeah, anyway, Lee Sin shows up mid. I end up showing up at the same time. And of course, the amount of damage I can do on Lee Sin is tremendous. And I bring him down quickly. So I get the first blood, I get myself rolling, hooray. Again, I made the Xin Zhao choice as a secondary choice, but a choice with a purpose in this game. To deal damage, killing Yasuo, mostly, just killing him, and interrupting Katarina, and being this kind of bulky dude that I can send into the fray. My team needs that damage, because if I had picked someone like Malphite, to deal with Yasuo and Katarina, or somebody tanky with interruptions like Zach, we might have suffered because our damage, especially mid game, is pitiful. So again, I reason Xin Zhao would have been a good one. Runes and Masters, by the way, I believe it is attack damage red, armor yellow, magic resistance blue, scaling, and attack speed quints. And 2190 masteries, of course. Now, you can see I'm sort of globetrotting this early game, though my team is down by 1 kill. We're about even. I had faith that my team comp would end up prevailing because, again, we have damage, we have ways to shut them down, and they're rather low on crowd control, so they really cannot stop me that well. So that's why I opted to do two things. One, I built a warrior, and I was gonna build another damage item, but I ended up building Randuins anyways after Vampiric Acceptance, so you'll see that in my item build. And second, I maxed out Q first rather than E. In most cases, a lot of players would prefer to max out E first for the stronger slow and the nuke from it. But in this case, I saw that the enemy team had too many hippity skippity jumpity champions like Katarina, Lee Sin, and Yasuo and Corky. So I figured I'm not gonna be able to stick on them anyway, so might as well do a lot more damage with my Q. And it turns out it works out well. So here the enemy Katarina Lee Sin invaded me trying to kill me, and they pretty much get trapped. And they get obliterated. Though, of course, the only one who dies, I believe, is the Katarina. And then Lee Sin managed to escape, and then we drag this whole fight out a little longer. And Lee Sin gets clipped by Gnar and gets taken down. Then the Corky and the Gnar just duke it out in basically melee range. And the Corky gets himself murdered. And then we die at the Volibear, and I try to push him out of the tower so I could follow him and get out, but he flipped me back into the tower and died. Still, though, it's totally worth it considering we got 4 for 1. Again, Xin Zhao right now, I actually do believe he's one of the stronger junglers in the game, but and that is not competitive. Like, you remember I mentioned Volibear being really strong, and Volibear being really strong, and Xin Zhao is also one of those champions that's very strong, but unfortunately they aren't perfect or overwhelmingly so. I mean, well, they aren't overwhelmingly perfect like Xin Zhao and Vi and those other are. Thankfully, Vi and Jarvan are. What the hell was that? Anyway, Xin Zhao's problem, as you could probably notice just by me clearing the jungle, is that I may have sustain from my auto attacks, but the sustain isn't keeping me near acceptable levels. I think I go do Wraiths soon enough, Wraith and Red, and you see me actually get pretty low from them. I mean, more lower than you'd think. That's why I opted to buy a Vampiric Scepter. We go top to gank Yasuo. We actually dive him, and he managed to just escape just by a little bit, just sliver of health. There he goes. But no, watch me when I go clear something. My health dips low, and like if it wasn't for that, Xin Zhao would actually be a lot more proficient and a lot more effective. But thankfully, Riot noticed this and they're gonna buff him up. Look, I go do red and I lose a lot more health than I figure I should. Of course, I gain it back because smite and shit. Well, no, yeah, I believe smite. I forgot. But in most cases, I won't. Let's say I didn't have the 2 kills and the 4 assists, I wouldn't have as complete of a build as I do right now. So I get lower health and whatnot. Hell, even then, you could just rewind to the lower points when I didn't have those items, and you'd see me get pretty low. Volibear, same deal too. They buffed up his jungle for the same reason. It's like it's good, but it's just not quite there. That's actually kind of the better way to put it, Xin Zhao, right? His kit is good, and right now in the jungle, and he works, but he's just not quite there. He needs a little bit more of a nudge. Otherwise, you can see my team is dominating. The enemy team. Well, watch this actually. I begin by stabbing Volibear because I know Katarina's going to come. And as soon as she gets in range, I jump towards her to just sort of nuke her down for like a half her health. She jumps forward, and thanks to the exhaust, she doesn't get to kill the Tristana. So though, that's what I intended to do, to delay the Katarina from doing any of her combo, so she could take either more damage from me or from my teammates and take her down. Also, thankfully, the Yasuo missed his Q and gets obscenely obliterated. He might have been able to pick off probably Karma and even me. But thankfully, because he missed, he got nothing out of that. And we got a late ace. Like again, I would actually suggest you could play Xin Zhao if you were better as him than you are at Jarvan and Vi. But in most cases, the other champions just tend to outperform him. He's like a weaker version of them, currently at least. It's just they're just a little bit too obscene in this jungle, right? That's kind of how it goes. Either way, the enemy team engages on this Tristana. I jump to the Lee Sin just to destroy him with the Qs alongside the Tristana. The enemy team re-engages here, and unfortunately, the Katarina is actually going to get to deal with tons of damage here. My ultimate isn't as effective as I hoped it would be. I wanted to deal some damage to the Corki. Fortunately, Gnar jumps in and helps us out. Katarina kills the Tristana, but the Tristana ends up getting the last life with the explosion, and then we stab this bear to death. It's yet another brutalization. I know that it is pretty stompish and ridiculous, but it is a placement match, so there's nothing really I can control of this. And it is technically a diamond level one, because the Ryrk's MMR is ridiculously high. I believe it was my second highest at Diamond 3. So, still though, Xin Zhao has my recommendation of a champion you should learn. Definitely works better in the lower divisions, and even then, he has a lot more snowball potential than some other junglers. So, hooray for Xin Zhao, and hooray for my placement matches going better.